teacher voice working? Good morning, I'm Christine Malone. I'm the host for this room. I am a member of the Belmont Hillsborough Neighbors Steering Committee. We are the oldest organized neighborhood association in Nashville, so we claim it everywhere we can. And if any of you ever knew Gene Fussell, who's one of the original neighborhood activists in Nashville, he was my mentor, and I still miss him. And when I'm at events like this, I miss him all the more. So we have a panel today that includes Michelle Cooper of MMPD. She's a Nashville native. She joined the department in 2006 in efforts of connecting more and servicing the various diverse communities of Davidson County. During her time with the department, she has worked in various roles, instrumental to developing her knowledge and aiding the community as a patrol officer, youth services investigator, evening shift precinct supervisor, precinct community affairs liaison, secondary employment supervisor. She now oversees the Office of Community Outreach and Partnerships Division, which has a focus on connecting the many underserved communities around the city. And to her right is Thomas Dodson. Thomas is a resident of North Nashville and a board member of Neighbor to Neighbor. He's a former television news journalist, and he currently helps clients blend the art of engaging content with the science of digital technology to create effective strategies that move people to act. Tamika White is a native of Nashville as well. She's currently serving on the board of Neighbor to Neighbor. She's also on the executive committee of the NAACP, as well as on the Davidson County Democratic Party executive committee. And she believes that as a lifelong Nashvilleian, it's important to her to make sure that all of our communities are equipped with the resources they need to thrive. Now, the topic today is creating a neighborhood safety campaign. And a neighborhood safety campaign moves important safety messages from your monthly or quarterly neighborhood meetings into the homes of our neighbors. It is tailor-made by you and your neighborhood organization specifically for your neighbors. And during this session, the panelists will talk about what a safety campaign looks like and how to go about creating one. In reality, this process can be used to get out any message important to the neighborhood. So we will let Tamika take it away. Oh, Tamika's going to take it away. I'm sorry.
Okay. I just sat here.
Good morning. Happy to see y'all here today, even though it's early. We're going to wake up a little bit. As Christy said, my name is Tamika White. I am a board member of Neighbor to Neighbor, and I'm here to speak to you today about creating grassroots community. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a lifelong organizer, and meeting people where they are is kind of my specialty. So being in neighborhoods and working with people in the community, this is how we engage with each other. So how many of you have a HOA in your community? Okay. How many of you are very active in your HOA? You meet monthly, quarterly? So this is how neighbors talk to each other sometimes and find out what's going on in their communities outside of paying those crazy fees. Some people don't like HOAs. Do you guys have also a neighborhood watch situation in some communities? Okay, cool. So with organizing, we often have instances where we have one-on-ones with community members, community leaders, people who are people of influence, and things of that nature. Are you a person of influence in your community? Can we have any influencers here? Okay. Who leads the charge in the neighborhoods? Miss Alma? I know you be leading the charge. But these are some of the ways and some of the people that you need to be connected to in your community. Okay. So here's an image of what I like to think of all of our communities look like in Davidson County. We have a few words that jump out at you. Can anyone tell me what jumped out at them when they first saw the image? We all need help. People?
Need.
Okay.
No.
So those are some of the words that jump out at you, and these are some of the things that are instrumental in our communities, and we need these to survive. As she read my bio, I am a proponent of everyone in their communities having what they need to thrive. So being in community with people, it makes you feel at home, right? Does everybody in here know their neighbor? On the left and the right? Yes, because there are some instances where we don't even talk to our neighbors. So I'm glad that you guys know your neighbor on the left and the right and continue to build those relationships with people. What's something that you would like to see in your neighborhood that you don't see?
Well, I would say for me, even though I may know the ones right close to me, there's a lot more people I don't know. The community's always changing. So, you know, you have to move in, moving out, you got more renters coming into communities. So for me, I came because how do we continue to keep it safe? How do we continue to keep everybody engaged? I couldn't go to both classes, so I picked this one. But trying to figure out how to keep us in the community when you have a lot more people renting and things like that. So I think that I'd like to know more about.
So that's something that is very important as well, knowing who lives down the street as well. So taking the time to go and introduce yourself. Having community meetings is not always the solution because you might be busy on community meeting night. So just making sure that you take the initiative. If you're the talker, some people are introverted, just to go introduce yourself. That's a way you can also build community and get familiar with the people down the street and making sure you know the people on the left and the right. It's a little slow, doesn't like me.
It's pretty interesting.
So this next image is one image that I live by in the work that I do every day. So when you hear grassroots, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Boots on the ground? Face to face? Yeah. So, okay. Leadership, community, education, action, building relationships, the capacity building of community members. And when you have all of these things together, you build power. And when you're building power, that's the way you create what? Equity. Because in neighborhoods, we need that. We need to make sure that we're also looked after no matter where we live, our zip code, right? So being in community with your neighbor, you need to make sure you're building relationships, make sure we're moving to action, whatever that action may be, educating each other on what's going on in our communities, how we can be more engaged. Outside of those community meetings, what else can we do? Neighborhood cleanups, participating in something that Vice Mayor Schulman has going on, building community, because when you show up, that's how they get to know you, right? We also at Neighbor to Neighbor have leadership academies to teach you how to do those things. A lot of people don't know what it's like to be an advocate for their neighborhood. And also being in position to call someone to action. I know when I'm doing the work that I'm doing, I can call Ramona and she'll be on those front lines fighting for the same things that I'm fighting for, right? But if she wasn't my neighbor and didn't know me, it would be hard for me to get her to make that ask, right? So let's just make sure we are building community, building relationships, so we're able to call people to action. I think that's it. Let's see. What else I got? I ain't getting no sleep, y'all. Forgive me. Who else didn't get no sleep? So we barely hanging on. You got your coffee? I need some coffee. I had a little bit of tea. I need some.
You want it clean?
Yes, please. So I want to make sure that we're building community, being engaged, educating our community members, because Miss Alma is not always on social media. She on Facebook a little bit, but she needs to know about these community meetings, and she needs to know where she can get involved. She'll send an email and say, hey, Tamika, I need y'all to do this, but she might miss something. So just making sure that we're engaging each other and making sure we're educating our neighbors on what's going on. So if you guys don't have a HOA and want to learn how to build community, we at Neighbor to Neighbor can help you do that. And I will kick it over to Mr. Thomas.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me without the microphone? If I walk around a little bit, I don't like to stand still. Is this gonna work for me? Let's see here. Maybe not. Okay, here it is. Okay. Good morning. My name is Thomas Dodson. I do live in North Nashville. I've been a resident of Nashville for almost 7 years now, so, still new, still figuring it out. But I've been a community activist. I've been involved in local politics going back for almost 20 years now. And I've been in the digital space since 2009. And I know the digital space can seem overwhelming at times, but I want to try to demystify it a little bit and bring it down to some core basics. And what we're going to do after we're done speaking is we are going to get together as some groups here in the room, and we're going to talk through some of the issues that you guys are facing in your neighborhoods and on your streets. And the three of us are going to try to provide a little expertise to help you engage your neighbors a little bit more, whether it's through Grassroots, whether it's through the digital space, or with law enforcement. So that's our goal here today, is we're going to really try to get under the hood of your neighborhoods. So I'm not going to take a lot of time here to talk about the digital stuff, but I do want to begin with just where we are with digital. Yep, I can stop doing that. There's so many different ways and so many different platforms that are out there. Like I said, it can often feel overwhelming. We're going to start with this guy. It's not digital per se, but we often forget these things actually still make phone calls. You can actually push some buttons and maybe get a personal answer on the other end, probably not. But if they do, you can still talk to them. My neighborhood has a very active text thread, very basic. We're not hyper-organized digitally. We don't have a Facebook page. We don't have an Instagram account like the nation's does. We use GroupMe, which is an online chat, basically just like you would with your phones, just chat messages. We play that game, gunshots or fireworks, probably 2 or 3 times a week. We might know that game if you live anywhere near me. And it's just a way for us to communicate. We have neighbors who move in. We have neighbors who move out. We welcome them when they come in. We go knock on the door, say, hey, we want to get you on the group chat. Sign them up. And when they leave, they say, goodbye, everybody. It was great being here. Thanks for all the engagement. Thanks for the community. And when we're talking about building a neighborhood safety campaign, for me, this is where it starts. This is the little stuff, the day-to-day touches. So when there is something that pops up, when there is a big issue, you already have a foundation built. So if there is something important happening in your neighborhood, you're not scrambling. You're not scrambling to try to figure out what everybody's phone number is. You're not scrambling to try to get everybody onto the Facebook page. You've already done that work. So you've got everybody connected. So don't think you have to be everywhere. That's one of the biggest follies in social media, whether you're a business, a nonprofit, it doesn't matter. Trying to conquer every social media platform and be everywhere, it's not going to work. Just pick one. Pick one you're comfortable with. If you don't want to be on Facebook, don't be on Facebook. If you don't want to be on Instagram, don't be on Instagram. start a group chat if that's where you're comfortable. Keep it simple. Ask everyone in your community to be involved. Tell them, this is what we're doing. Get their phone number, text them. Make sure that you have their number. Share that positive and engaging content. So when the important stuff, when some of the nasty stuff, some of the big stuff does come up, you're ready to deal with it. Celebrate victories in your neighborhood. Be an advocate for the great things that are happening. That way you've got people's attention. Is that making sense? When you don't want to just rush in when the house is on fire. You want to have that group built. You want to have the eyeballs ready. I liken this to a digital marketing strategy that I do for businesses, for elected officials, for nonprofits, for public agencies. It doesn't matter. We're all talking about the same thing. Lean into the platforms you're comfortable with and share that content. Because when you have that ask, when you have that call to action, already built an audience. People are looking, people are paying attention. So a couple of examples real quickly. In the Hermitage Dallas neighborhood, they share a lot about their neighborhood cleanups. Not an emergency. Nothing's on fire. It's just, hey, we're doing this. It gets people engaged. It's that content that goes out in between so you know that what's happening in your neighborhood. Inundations. March Happy Hour. They share this on their Instagram account. 61 likes. That's pretty good for a neighborhood association. There's a lot of people, you know, if you see 61 likes on something, you're probably sure that 1,000 people saw it. So it's just those little touch points that we have in our neighborhoods to leverage digital platforms to engage our neighbors. So when we do have to turn to law enforcement for something, we have a platform. And don't trip over that. There we go. There we go. All right, I'm going to turn it over to you. Sure. Michelle.
Please bear with me, you all. It has been no sleep night. Thank you all for being here today on a Saturday, a work day, another work day for you all, to where you get to sit and either be bored, be entertained, or get educated about resources for your neighborhood. So, just like Christy had explained and how we kind of touched upon, I'm a show coker. I don't like titles and formalities. I mean, outside of this uniform, I look just like you all. So I'm a show coker. I just happen to be the lieutenant over also community outreach and partnerships. Been on the department 17 years, Nashville native. I've grown up, I've lived in North Nashville, East Nashville, back in North Nashville, Madison. Now I have the pleasure of residing in the West Precinct area. How many of you all do I have in my West Precinct area? Oh, just one? Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to move along. So, here's the thing. First things first. When we talk about creating public safety for engagement, what we really need to focus on and remember the first thing of that is safety is everyone's responsibility. Just like Tamika talked about the grassroots movement of the boots on the ground, getting to know your neighbor. I was a community affairs coordinator for the Midtown Hills precinct for about 34 years, and that is one of the things I talk about. It's great to have all of these social media digital platforms. It's great because younger generations need that. It's a difference between, we can talk about that. It's a difference between older generation, I consider myself older, I'm 41. And then the younger generation, you look like you're part of the younger generation. I don't know how old you are, don't tell me how old you are, you just look young. But that younger generation, and it's not always feasible to do things digitally, but it's not always feasible for the younger generation to do face-to-face. So how can we do the happy medium? And we have to learn to do both, because when the things hit the fan, my neighborhood, per se, focuses on nextdoor.com. Now, I don't engage a lot on nextdoor.com because generally when I'm off and I don't have to represent myself as a law enforcement officer, I don't. But when I was at Midtown, I was on nextdoor.com, and it was a great tool for me to get on there and engage with the members of the community, because that was their way. If they never got to meet me, see me at a community meeting because their community just didn't have those things, they had an outlet to contact their local law enforcement. So So what we need to remember when we do look at law enforcement and public safety aspect is law enforcement, we are your community. It's not law enforcement and the community, it's law enforcement in the community. We're your neighbors. Yes, we're your first responders that come to when you need us, but we also want to be invited to that barbecue because we love food. So when you all have those events, please consider us, we love food. But we love to be your partners as well and have a seat at the table. When we are talking about things to help you consider your public safety engagement, things that were mentioned earlier, establishing neighborhood organizations such as neighborhood watches, neighborhood safety committees, HOAs that are very active. Get your Metro District Council members involved. Get your faith-based leaders, community leaders involved. Get your nonprofit organizations such as Neighbor to Neighbor. I did not know Neighbor to Neighbor existed until I became a community affairs coordinator back in 2016. And this is one of the organizations I push probably to most of the communities I come in contact with, because you will be so surprised on how many people throughout Davidson County that still does not know about this organization. Once you've decided that you're going to do this and you have your core individuals, locate your local precinct and community affairs coordinators. Right now at our back table back here, we have one of our community affairs coordinators from Madison Precinct. We have, I don't want to get your title wrong, Gary. We have a crime prevention officer, community engagement team officer. We have our, for Madison Precinct, we have our faith-based liaison, and she is countywide. And we also have our crime prevention.
Do community engagement.
Community engagement for East Precinct. So, how many of our people do we have in here from Madison? Just one person. Jeez, this is like, oh my gosh. How many people?
Where y'all living?
That's what I'm East.
Yeah, Park.
You're East.
East Madison.
Park is,
Madison.
East.
Madison.
Antioch.
Bordeaux.
Oh, no, you said it.
Bordeaux.
Leave me wrong.
It just
Yeah.
depends on where you live.
Where's the one?
I'm at Priest Lake.
Priest Lake, so you are Hermitage Precinct,
No, I'm not.
South?
I'm at South Precinct.
South Precinct, because I know it's like right there. in
Yeah,
the-
just across the bridge.
Oh my goodness, so, well, it's a beautiful thing to see a lot of people from countywide. I'm just really disappointed in the representation from West. It's just two of us.
You got the vice mayor.
Yes, holidays, hello. Hi, how are you? Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for not letting me just be us two. Thank you so much. Okay, so once you have located your neighborhood precincts and community affair corners, that's easy. You can get online, and I'll show you the resource for that to where you can take a picture of that. I highly recommend that you do. And that way you can find what district you live in. Reach out, connect with us. We want the connection element. Most of our precincts of what we do, a lot of people always feel, and I hear this all the time, and I'm pretty sure they do too. Most of the people say, well, I didn't really want to bother you. But that's what we're here for. 365 days, 7 days a week. This is our job. Our job is to service the community, right? Serve and protect, but service to me first. We serve you all. So whatever your needs are, we connect. Again, it's not segregation. We don't want that. We are community. We want to be community partners, so reach out to us. But one of the things that we can commit to you all is, you want to know firsthand things that are going on, things that you may be on the cusp of, I should report, I'm not really sure I report. You have a number one contact, your community affairs coordinator. Your community affairs coordinator and your crime prevention officers and your CET team, they're pretty much like your almost Hub Nashville, if you will. So if you don't know about Hub Nashville, you should know about Hub Nashville, but they're kind of your liaisons for that too, where they can get you in the respective areas. They're also your people too, when things are happening in your neighborhood, you need safety presentations, crime prevention presentations, or just want to talk to get on their newsletter to figure out what's upcoming, what crime trends are happening in their area or your area. Those are your people that you want to have those dynamic conversations and relationships with to get that information. Once you've gotten all of this, your neighborhood organization, neighborhood watch, neighborhood safety, whatever you want to call it, because it is yours, you make it what you want it to be. Your vision, you create it, you develop it, you're going to take ownership of it. You have to be committed to being engaged and committed to the neighborhood safety campaign. It's a lot of neighborhood safeties in here, or HOAs that I saw, and when it was asked, how many of you all have HOAs? A lot of you all, more than half of you all in here raised your hand. But when it was proposed, how many of you all are actually active with your HOAs?
I would say we're not an HOA. I would say we're a neighborhood association. Are we using the term interchangeably?
So they could be the
Yeah,
same
you
thing. So neighborhood association is a group of your neighbors
Right.
that get together and do things
Right.
and monitor the community.
Yeah.
And I think that what separates them from the other is that
It's free.
it's free.
Yeah, I think HOA, and I think like a homeowners organization that's like formalized and you pay money and
And they have a board and all of those
board and
things.
it's like you
Yes.
take your house a certain corner or whatever.
And to see like a neighborhood, yeah, I hate that too. I moved
Yeah.
out of that, because I hated that, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm the speaker for that. I love that. That's why I moved where I live. I don't want cars up on blocks.
well, that part, I greatly agree with you
Our
on
work
that.
is wonderful.
I greatly agree with that, and not parking on the
Ask
street.
anybody that lives in Long Hunter Chase, right on Priest Lake. We have the best board in Nashville.
And see, here's the thing, you are an example, because there are a lot of communities that don't have that. So you are a trailblazer, you are providing that leadership, you can provide that guidance to others who need that, to know what you are doing to be as successful as you are in your community. Because yes, there are HOAs, but yes, there are neighborhood associations, interchangeably, slightly different. But you still, for your neighborhood association, I'm pretty sure you still have a campaign or a committee for
Yeah,
something.
no, I just wanted to kind of clarify the room because I hear HOA and I don't think that.
Yeah, you're like, we're not that, absolutely not. Yeah, so it's kind of the same with slight differences.
Okay.
So the thing about it is, we have those though, whether it is a neighborhood watch, whether it is a neighborhood association, whether it is an HOA, that are not active at all. And it goes back to getting to know your community, getting to know your neighbors. I think we have become, and I'm so old school, like I said, I'm 41. I grew up in that mentality, and I was always taught that to where you speak. Go talk to your neighbor. You know, if you need to go ask for some bread, you go ask for some bread. Hey, go over there and ask for a cup of sugar or flour. That's how I grew up. I'm pretty sure some of you all in this room
Yeah.
can say you grew up the same way. I grew up that way, right? So I'm still a firm believer of getting to know your neighbor. But I do understand when you get off work, or when you're just trying to go to the store, and you're just not feeling people, and it may not seem like it right now, but I am an extrovert, introvert, so I'm 100% an introverted person. It may not seem like it, but I am. And you just don't want to talk to people. It's just like, oh my gosh, they're really speaking to me. God, I just want to get in my car, or I just want to get in my. We've all been there. We've all done that. Trust me, I know. I'm guilty of it myself. But don't lose sight of getting to know your neighbor. And what does that look like? When I used to teach safety presentations, getting to know your neighbor to me means getting to know your neighbor starts off with baby steps. Hey, how are you today? Okay. Then the next time we speak, hey, did you see that? Whatever happened on TV? Did you catch that show? And you're slightly building that relationship. And I always tell people, we get so worked up over nosy Nancy of the neighborhood. Well, when something pops off in the neighborhood, you will love nosy Nancy. You will love her, right? So I'm not saying be a nosy Nancy, but it's about taking care and looking after your neighbor. You can do that on the grassroots element of getting to know your neighbor. You can do it on the digital platform of getting to know your neighbor. But right now, my husband, he's a police officer, he's not here. All of them back there know him. Please don't tell him that I'm talking about him, and it's not going to be in a negative light in some way. He is the social butterfly of our relationship. The social butterfly. He comes home, hey, honey, I just met the new neighbor across, next door, and I just told them whatever they need that they can come over. I said, no, you did not tell them that. I don't want that stress. Like, I don't want that, right? You did not tell them that, right? He did. But at the end of the day, we are police officers. We do want to help our neighbors, and we do welcome that. Because when they go out of town now, or when we go out of town, hey, do you mind watching my house for me? We got some packages coming. I didn't know they were going to come this early, but can you pick up my packages for me? Because as we know, package theft and mail theft and home breaking they're real. So the importance of that neighborhood safety, public safety engagement, that is a huge piece. And it works holistically both together with the grassroots element and the digital platform. So what does that look like inviting us in? It looks like this. No different than me standing in front of you all today, talking to you all about safety. Hi, hello, this is just an intro. But please feel free to invite us out. And I'm not just saying, I mean, again, let me go back. We love food, right? We love to be invited to food events. We do. But it's not about that. Just invite us to come out to your meetings, just to say hi, because I guarantee you that there's one person, that may be one person, that's going to be that second person after that. Excuse me, can I talk to you for a moment? This has been going on, and I guarantee you it's been happening to your neighbors. And then that's our way of having a seat at the table. Because we always want a seat at the table. We don't want to force ourselves in the community. And I always tell people the thing, but when you see us, it's generally on your worst day. When I see your worst day, I mean, your worst day is us pulling you over. Hey, I'm Lieutenant Coker with the Metropolitan Police Department. The reason why I stopped you is, and you're looking at me like, you know, there is so much other crime going on in the city, and this is what you choose to focus on. That is your worst day. That's just, so people don't really look at us, and I hate to say that, like people, you look at us completely different. Again, try not to look at us like that. We are police in the community of the communities that you happen to live in. And again, as you can see, we represent the communities, and we live within your communities. So we are your community. We are your neighbors, and we want to be looked at as such. Oh, no. So here are a few things just to highlight what we actually do. Now, these are some fun things. As you can see, this guy up here just happened to be my best friend. He's in Creek Hall Fall Festival getting manhandled by a community member getting picked up. But you also see us being invited out to Easter events, us serving like the Ethiopian festival, reading to kids, having faith-based meetings, and so forth. Just all the community things that we do just to show that we are human. We want to be part of the community. And like they said before, ways to do things like that. I love my Edge Hill community when I used to work out there. They used to do things, drinks in the drive. Hey, can you come out? I was like, well, I mean, I'm in uniform, so I can't have a drink, so you really want me out there. But they would do little things like that. Be innovative and creative about what does that look like? Again, we have generational differences. What may work one way, grassroots, to the younger generation, that may not be their jam or their thing. And they may like the digital aspect. But doing something collectively together to bring that holistic approach to make both work, and just thinking outside the box of just we're just going to have a community meeting. You know, community meetings are great, but what are you doing outside of that? So you can do drinks in the drive, you know, picking up whatever, traffic campaign safety events. You could do anything from potlucks. I know everybody doesn't trust everyone's cooking, so a potluck could be different. Publix and Costco have some good chicken. Just go and pick up a box of chicken from them and just take it there. But things like that, you know, one of my Green Hills neighborhoods, they did ice cream in the cul-de-sac. Oh, I thought that was so amazing. And then some places, they do food trucks, they do festivals, they do farmers markets, whatever you can do to bring your collective community together. That's
Can I share a story?
Yes.
So I live in Belmont, Hillsborough, and a neighbor said, and we already know each other pretty well. The neighborhood is configured in a way that we all have front porches. That's really helpful. But she said, I really want to be in a book club, and she said, I'd love to do a neighborhood book club. And I said, well, I'll see if we can get that organized. And we put it out. We limited it by a particular slice of the neighborhood, just like basically 8 blocks square. And just said, you know, it's 19th and 20th between Portland and or Magnolia and Blair, and we had 26 people come to that book club. And it was just like I would ask a neighbor, and they'd say, well, I know this neighbor, and it was amazing. And we're only doing it once a quarter. We're not making it like this huge
Once
list.
a month or anything.
But I met people that lived 2 blocks away from me that I'd never met before, and everyone felt that way. It was not a hard thing to organize, and it wasn't work. But everyone in the street now, like I see people every day now
And that's just a prime example of something different and innovative than the traditions of what we know. Community, yes ma'am.
I want to brag on you and your police department. I've lived in 4 states. 22 years ago today, I moved into my house. My neighbor across the street left a note on my door and said, my name is, our child is blah, blah. We will never come into your home, but here's our phone number if you need anything. That neighbor goes every day, every week, and puts my garbage can out on the street. When she gets a package, I call her because she's at work, and I don't want her to go in the garage and miss that package. I'm not nosy Nancy, I'm a helpful neighbor. And I want to tell you that Sergeant Denny Ismeldi is my new hero. He is my co-co, and we recently had weekly meetings from January. Every Saturday, he was on the Zoom with us, planning the biggest Easter egg hunt in this community. He was there. He brought everything we needed, and we love him. Thank you for what you do.
See, no, that is a great testimony of us not coming into your neighborhood, saturating it with blue lights, but blue lights of what, right? So that's why we want to sit at the table. But again, this goes back to different things of how to get us involved. And what does that look like for you to make your own community successful? Be innovative. Here's my thing. When I was a co-co, I am not fond of those 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock afternoon, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday meetings. Vice President Schulman, I know he has done those. All of the people back there, my officers, they have done the same thing. And it's so tedious on you all. It's a work week. Even if you don't have kids, you have yourself. You want to go home. You want to decompress. By the time you get done with the community meeting, especially if they don't have food, I'm sorry, I'm hungry, so if I keep talking about food, that's why. But you want to have food, but by the time you leave that community meeting, depending on if it is a structured meeting or not, you're leaving out probably at 8, 9 o'clock at night. You have very little time. Who really wants to eat that late? And then you just go to sleep, and you feel like, what's the point? I don't want to continue to do these things every quarter, every month, every other month. So be creative with your community meetings. What does that look like? Saturday? A Saturday morning? Does that look like a Saturday mid-morning? Because I hate to take up people's Saturday day because Saturdays are for you all. But what does that look like? Be very innovative and creative in your mind of thinking of what you choose to do. Here's my statement to you all. It's time to take ownership of your community if you have not, and if you're not doing that already. Which seems like you all are doing that already. But just please make sure that you take this back to the people in your communities that you don't know, that are not doing this. And to go back to what you said about your renters in your neighborhood, all of you all have that. That's a feat within itself. Because as you all homeowners in here, if all of you are homeowners, and if you are renters and you are in here participating today, I thank you very much. But renters really don't feel like they have a stake because they don't own it. It's not theirs. They don't care what's really going on in their neighborhood. Most people don't if they're just renting or leasing. Yes, sir?
We used to call our neighborhood Parkwood Homeowners Association. Well, since I took it over, I knew we had renters there, and everyone who's a resident in Parkwood is a member of the Parkwood Association.
With the renters too?
Yes.
So what you need to do,
Parkwood Neighborhood Association.
but here's the thing, again, just like Miss Alma, I don't know your name, but Miss Alma, but just like you have a testimony, something that you can share, because like she just said, I can't see her name, but like she said earlier, the issue is having people in and out, moving in and out of the community. So when you have people move in and out of the community, it does make it hard for people that want to come in. It does make it harder for you all who are in here, that you want to get to know your neighbor, that they don't want to get to know you all, that they don't want to be a part of. So again, it goes back to those innovation things, trailblazer here, about what you can do to bring those people in. Now, here's a little bit of resources, because I feel like I just talked way too much. Thomas, you did not stop me. Tamika, you totally didn't stop me. These are just some resources here that I'm putting up here. If you don't know about, you can take a picture of. This is our like you all know that. Take a picture of this. One of our things that we have on here as well, our Metro Nashville Police Dashboard that lets you know crime that is in the area is updated by us for the community. You can go in here and look at our Nashville Dashboard. Another one to where they do a secondary company is not MNPD that you can, and I'm pretty sure as most of you all are familiar with crimemapping.com, it's an awesome tool as well to use. I mentioned Hub Nashville, I didn't put it up here, but Hub.Nashville is a great resource as well, because a lot of people, they don't know, so the first thing they do is, well, I just call police. I got a tree branch that's covering the stop sign. Police can handle it. I mean, well, that's not our job, but we'll go look at it. So that's what Hub Nashville was created for. So it's just one of those type things to where you can take advantage of these little resources right here. Contact information, if you all need me for anything, just talk to me. I'm here. I'll come to lunch with you. Again, food. I just come out to the community and meet with you all, period. Here's my information, michelle.coker@nashville.gov, or my community email, which you will be able to get me there, but our community email for my specific office is mnpdcommunity@nashville.gov. And if you feel so compelled to want to connect with us, here's our links. And we would love to be invited to come out to any of your functions that you have, get you connected with the proper resources of what you all want to talk about. But again, it's about, we just want to have a seat at the table anytime. We don't want to take over. It's about collaborative partnership, and you all have a collective advocacy of taking care of your needs in your own communities because it's yours. Your vision, your community, you create it. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, I need you to go back because I didn't get to hear it.
This one? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I just want to say, my parents grew up in South Nashville, Edgehill community, and
That's something?
yes, they are still so close. They still get together, they do the South Nashville picnic every year. So in my neighborhood, and what I'm trying to do with my kid, is give him the same sense of pride in his neighborhood. So whenever he's a productive citizen and person going home, he'll do the same thing. Because a lot of times we get kids that, they don't care.
Yeah.
So it takes parents teaching them to care.
Because that falls back on us, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whatever whatever you are. We are that generation. I keep looking at you because you look like a baby. Please don't tell me how old you are because you're going to probably just make me just feel so bad. But we are that generation to where it is up to us to pass that torch, to share the generation is so different. In so many ways we can learn things from them, but in so many ways, as we all sit here, I'm pretty sure you all feel like me, like, where do we go wrong in failing them, right? I can't be the only one in the room that feels like that. Yep, you're shaking your head like, yep, tell the truth. Yep. So it's up to us to figure out what can we do to bring them to the table, continue to pass that torch along for them to build their communities, because they're going to be taking over these communities. Now, what does that look like for them as we pass the torch? What legacy are we leaving for them? When we, hate to say it, but it's the reality of us, we won't be here one day. So where do we want to see our communities that we currently live in? How do we want to see that look? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, which they probably won't look anything nearly what they look like now, but what do we want that to look like? Let's just think about that. And I'm done. Okay, Thomas, I'm going to turn it back over to you. You guys talked enough, like 30 minutes.
Good job. Good job. All right, we've got some time, guys, and I want to facilitate a little conversation between you guys in the room here and our panelists. And one of the things that Michelle brought up that I do want to talk about for a second is the idea of succession planning for neighborhood groups. And we've got some larger neighborhood associations, some established ones. We have the largest, oldest one, we said, in Nashville. And some of these smaller ones, and I'm on the board of Neighbor to Neighbor, and this is one of the issues that we do deal with. We are trying to create a database of active, engaged neighborhood groups, whether it's an HOA, an established neighborhood association, or maybe it's just a loosely knit group of people who are active online or they talk. Typically, the smaller groups are championed by one person. One person wants to make a difference on their street. One person wants to make a difference in their neighborhood, and they'll rally the troops, and they'll get together, and they'll have a potluck, and they'll have coffees, and then maybe that person moves. And then what happens to all that momentum that they have built right down the drain? So really it is important, and one of the things that Neighbor to Neighbor focuses on as we talk to our neighborhood groups is making sure that it's not just all in the hands of one person as well. Really spread the wealth. Really think about who the next person that you're going to pass the baton to is, so you can keep that momentum going over time. With our database that we have in Neighbor to Neighbor, unfortunately, when we go through and we start picking up the phone and making the calls and sending the emails, oh, I moved. Oh, no, I don't know who's running that group anymore, and that group's just not in existence any longer. So as you build these groups, please be thinking about longevity as well. Think about what would happen to your neighborhood group if you moved away. Who can I leave this with? Who can carry the torch for us? And Michelle, I got a question for you. One of the things that happens in my neighborhood is I'm a member of the Neighbors app, which is that network of Ring cameras. Does MNPD have access to those? Do you guys access those, or do you see those when they're sent to you case by case?
It's kind of like a case by case. Could we probably get access to that? Yes, it's kind of like next door. So if we put ourselves on that Neighbors app to do that, but if we did it as an umbrella for the police department, it probably wouldn't work. So it would have to be the pockets of Sergeant Lopez and so forth. But it looks like he wants to answer. Go ahead, Louis. Go ahead.
We have a new website. It's called CFUS. You could actually go to the website itself and register that there are two options. Whether you can register that you have a camera available, that you could, if a police officer, there's a crime in your area and you wanna have the police already know that you have it available, they will get in contact with you. There's a second option where if you want to give them access to the detective already to be able to view, that's great for a lot of the businesses, for like Matco's, Thornton's, and things like that the police officers can view it live. And like a private school and things like that, they could actually sign up and give them access, and that way the police department can get access immediately. So those are two options in this, and I believe that information is in the Nashville website, but if not, it's CFUS. And if you want to get that information, you're more than welcome to email me, and I'll make it available to you guys. My email address is Luis, spelled Luis.Lopez@nashville.gov. Once again, it's Luis, Luis.Lopez@nashville.gov. And I could give you my cell phone if you want to write it down. I'm in the Madison area, but if you have any questions, concerns, within your neighborhood, you don't know the community coordinator, feel free to give me a call or send me a text, 615-853-4274, 615-853-4274. Thank you. Sorry.
Great, thank you so much. And so that first one is just saying, hey, I have cameras. It's agnostic to the platform. It could be Arlo, it could be Ring, it could be whatever.
Correct.
You're just registering your house as one that has active cameras.
Correct.
Okay, great, that's good to know. That's really good to know. Thank you, I appreciate that. Let's hear from you guys. What questions do you have? How can we help? How can this group of experts and me help you guys in your neighborhoods? What's going on? What are the issues? Please.
If I were in speed bumps,
As someone who just went through this recently, I can tell you that we are getting, I believe they're called speed humps these days. We're getting speed humps installed on my street. We just had them installed on Clay, I believe a couple of weeks ago. It's a process. It's a long process. It takes time. We worked hand in hand with Councilmember Brandon Taylor for quite a while to make this happen. And it's a process, but start with your council member and don't let up.
Is it part of the neighborhood traffic calming?
Yes.
Yes. And they have funds, there'll be an application, right? So there's allocations for funds for that type of thing, and so.
Do you know who your current representative is? Okay.
So what I was during the rush hours on the tail end, because you can't really speed through anything when it's bumper to bumper, but on those tail ends, yeah. So just get with your precinct community affairs coordinator or crime prevention officer, and that way they can get that to you. So that way when you do have the traffic calming survey application put in, you can say, we have done this as well. And then they can contact us and say, yeah, we're seeing these issues. Also, what is it, traffic calming, public works, they'll come out and actually install like a temporary strip, electric strip on your road. You may have seen those. And what those do, they're monitoring the flow of traffic to kind of see, engage the average speeds. So if your road right now, some of the roads are 20, some, I think that's the lowest, and then some are like 35, 40. If you live in 20 and you got the average speed of your neighborhood at 40 miles an hour, that's wrong.
That's right.
So do the speed where it says like this is your speed, like a little truck that goes around.
Public Works.
You're talking about where it says it'll shoot what your speed is. That's what I've seen.
I think they still do that.
I haven't seen them all. Do they still have them?
That's part of the traffic, they have a traffic calming department that you notify them. That would, we have been approved, they have simplified the process now. They send their ballot to the resident on the street, and they must vote yes or no, and they have a go up for people to vote yes. Then they come out and do the strip, and then do the survey, and then meet with the association with council people, and then finally approve, and then you wait. So we are in the waiting stage right now.
So are we. I think we had to do, is it 2/3 of the residents on the street had to say this is something we want? So yeah, something like that. Well, knock on wood, ours are getting installed next month, so it's been a year plus, yeah. And use Hub Nashville, double down, all those tickets that get submitted on Hub Nashville, they do get seen. So if you're talking to your council member over here, there's Hub Nashville ticket over here, all that stuff goes into adding into the engagement, adding into the noise. And encourage your neighbors to use the Hub Nashville app to submit those tickets. More begets more. Yes, sir.
So we have a problem with people parking, abandoning vehicles in our neighborhood. What can we do about that?
Sir? That's a great, Hub Nashville is a great tool, a hubnashville.gov. That is a perfect example. Hub Nashville, it's the best tool you can ever have, because you can actually download on your phone, you can actually take pictures and put them in your complaint, and it's wonderful because that gets rerouted to whatever department needs to go to. For example, if you have a tree, it might be, I don't know, Public Works, or NDOT, if you have a question about traffic, and if you have something about the water or whatever, okay, that gets rerouted to the correct department. And then the good thing about that the department, once they handle how they handle that, they have to send a response back on how they took care of of the problem. And you're gonna get the feedback, you're gonna get the answer, so it's not like you're gonna send it and you're never gonna find out what happened. That's not the case. You're always gonna find out how it was handled, which is great. Now, if it's something that the police, like abandoned vehicle, for example, that actually, let's say, for example, you are in the South Precinct area, that gets rerouted to the community coordinator, who is the one that takes care of the community engagement team, and he rerouted to the community engagement team to go ahead and take care of those issues. That way patrol can continue to handle the calls for service, while the community engagement team can go ahead and take care of those type of problems that you're having, like the abandoned vehicles. So, and then the community coordinator, once the patrol officer, the community engagement officer take care of it, they'll let us know how they handle it, and we give that response back to the Hub Nashville, and they will provide that response to you, how we want to handle. But make sure that you put good pictures in there, because it gives us an image of what you're looking at.
So will it actually remove the vehicle,
We actually, the officer will go out there, we'll do a little bit of investigation on who owns the vehicle, why the vehicle is there, because it might be a vehicle that, you know, maybe the homeowner let one of his buddies drop it off or whatever the case, I don't know. So we have to do a little bit of investigation. So the officer will take care of that, sir.
Usually
Now,
put
if
a
it's a-
sticker or decal on the car and let
Yeah.
it sit for, what, a week or two? And it's
If
a
it is-
notification
if
that this
it's-
car is going to get towed if it's not moved, right?
Right, if the vehicle it's stolen or whatever the case, we go ahead and recover that vehicle. And if it's a vehicle that is there parked illegally, then we go ahead and put a sticker and start the process of getting it towed, yes.
That has happened to me before. In East Nashville where I live, we have had a problem with cars being abandoned, and I think I have a little bit of advantage with my uncle being a Metro officer. I just, here's the tag number. And he's like, oh, it's always a stolen car, majority of the time. Because we are allotted 2 parking spaces. I get it, sometimes neighbors have family over, but if nobody knows whose car this is, that's the first alarm, that this car is probably stolen. And each time I've had to call in a car that's been abandoned, it's been stolen. And people gotta stop leaving their cars on, because they stole
Yeah.
that one. The last one, it was a big 150 truck from, the Exxon in Antioch on Smith Springs, and brought it all the way out east. So stop leaving your keys in your cars too, because that's how we end up with stolen cars in other districts.
Yeah, the important thing is to make sure that if you see something suspicious, please report it. Because if we don't know what's going on, we can't really help you. So it's extremely important if you see a trend or those vehicles being dumped or whatever, there's probably a reason why they're dumping it there, okay? It's probably hidden, it's probably an alley that, that it's easy for them to dump it. Partner up with your community coordinator. Have them come out there or to a meeting, have them go out there and take a look at maybe opportunities of what you guys can do together to be able to avoid that from happening. Maybe you need more lighting in that area. Maybe you need cameras. Maybe you need signage, a neighborhood watch sign that we can provide to you guys. Park Smart signs we can provide for you guys. And if you guys put those signs in your neighborhoods, in your streets, when they come in your neighborhood, you let them know you're our partner up with the police department, and you will call the police and report it. You will report suspicious activity, you will report the crimes that are happening, and if you put a lot of lighting, a lot of cameras, what it's gonna do, it's gonna create a bigger coverage of all your neighborhood, and it's gonna let them know that it's your castle. You're gonna protect your castle, you're gonna make it secure, safe, and they're gonna see all those signs, all the lighting, you guys working together as a community, and they're gonna rather pick the neighborhood than the street. And it's unfortunate, but that's probably what you really want, So that's why the community coordinator is so important, to be able to partner up with him, get the community involved, and express your concerns to the community coordinator. That way, they could partner up. The crime prevention officer is a fantastic tool too. So please, we gotta work together. The police department cannot do it alone. Your community cannot do it alone. You, sir, cannot do it alone. But believe me, all together, working together, we can make a difference. Thank you.
Can I
Yes.
just back a little bit on wanting the neighbors down the street? We had a police officer come to our neighborhood association and talk about these issues, and kept using that as an example, like, you don't want it in your neighborhood, you want it down the street. And we don't. We don't want it down the street. And it also is frankly really uncomfortable for us, because we're Belmont Hillsborough, we're a very wealthy neighborhood, and our neighbors across the street in Edge Hill don't have the same advantages as we do. So being told by a police officer that you want it to go down the street, we don't want it to go down the street. I know you're saying it as an expression, but this police officer that visited us said it multiple times.
Well, let me explain something. Let's say, for example, if you live in your Green Hill area, I'm talking about go further down. So let's say you have a neighborhood, it's probably 100 houses, okay? And you guys are creating a cartilage where all you guys are working together. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm talking about somebody coming and checking your doors in your car, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so it's about somebody checking your door when you go to work, checking your door to see if it's unlocked, your windows and things like that. You guys are communicating. You guys are keeping each other safe. And if you are working with each other and you have a lot of signage, and why we say that is because for example, if you have your home and you put a lot of lights in your home and you have a fencing around your property, no trespassing signs and things like that, sometimes you're protecting yourself and you're creating a cartilage. And sometimes the neighborhood don't want to participate, but you want to maintain your home safe. We have actually gone to a resident in Madison that their neighborhood is not together. They don't work together, but they're creating a settlement. If they don't want to work together, at least you want to create your cartilage. You're setting the example for everybody else around your home, and they're gonna wanna learn from you. Okay, you want to be the example. So if you guys have a good thing going in your neighborhood, all your neighborhood is going to start doing the same thing. So the cartilage is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so go to the neighborhood down the street, yeah, but they're going to copy from your neighborhood because, like the lady said over here, hers is example neighborhood. So they're going to want to be like you. And then the next one, and the next one, and your cartilage is going to be. So they're going to select another city. They're going to select something else. So that will happen in Nashville too. In Nashville right now, with this thing that happened, is unfortunate, but they're letting me know that the police department here, we have fantastic training, okay? So somebody might rather pick another city than pick us because the police department here, we're doing great things here.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I think the overall is, and I'm gonna say this, it does sound bad, because like I just said, we're not advocating for that. I looked at you with that and said, we're not advocating for that. Let me just be clear when I say this. Again, if police, we are in the community, we are the community, we're not adversarial, it's not segregation, police in the community. If crime is happening in one community, that's one community too many. Okay, so that's what we have to look at. The goal is to, what is the saying? To reach one, teach one. And so that's where the collaborative partnerships come in. I am very familiar when I was the COCO out in Midtown, to be a part of the Belmont, Hillsborough community. You all are very tight. You know, I know Edgehill Village Neighborhood Association, they have their own, they're very tight. Edgehill has theirs. They could be closer, and it kind of spreads out. But it's that collaborative partnership of continuing to have those seats at the table to draw us to be able to answer those questions like you just said. Because if we do get those calls from vehicles they look suspicious on your road, we do want those calls. Could they go to HUD Nashville? Yes. But if it's suspicious to you, is to see something, say something. So we want you to call. Whatever information you can have. One of the things, if you can get the tag number immediately off that car, tell the dispatcher that. You can remain completely anonymous. Don't come to my house, but can you give me a phone call back? Because I get that. I mean, you may not want to be that person to have police at your house. Everybody, well, I'm the police, and I don't want police at my house. I'm the police, I don't want my own police car. You know? So it's just one of those things to where we have to look at it like, again, we are a community. What does that stand for? Legacy. Building that partnership with each other. The community of us. So that's what I would encourage you to do. We do have HUD Nashville, but if you do have a tag, and we're talking about the potential of stolen vehicles, because they are dumped all over Nashville, call that information. That way, we can find out that information if the vehicle is stolen prior to us getting there.
I want to change the subject and tell you board members, you don't brag enough. Today I brought my neighbor to neighbor report that you put out last year, and it's absolutely fabulous. Thank you for doing it. My point of bringing it up on page 16 has the issue that I am the most concerned with, and that is the fact that we go time after time after time on the planning and zoning board, and we get told to sit down and shut up. We have so much overdevelopment without infrastructure, it's horrifying. We even they are not taking into account the roads that are not wide enough to take care of the traffic, the schools that are not large enough to take care of the schools. And this report is just perfect. It quotes our neighbor, Quanah Chick, in saying exactly what we all feel, and she's the one that gave the tour, by the way. And when we bring concerns to the attention of the development teams, project engineers and architects frequently disregard our advice, saying, I have a degree and I know what we're doing. All too often ignoring local advice results in all too predictable environmental and other issues that could have been avoided. We have 8 Section 8 housing units within 3 miles in my area. That concentration of poverty can only mean one thing: increased crime. I'm a lawyer, I've read the Supreme Court case that says that it's illegal to concentrate poverty, because if you put too many poor people, they can't help each other, whereas if you put one in Christine's neighborhood, her neighbors could help those people with many things that live there. And we really need to hammer, and I'm starting to go in to hear Greg Atkins today, but I know he won't listen to me, so there's no use. I'm giving up public contact. And we really need to face that and do something about it. This city is going to be in a hell of a mess in 10 years if we don't do something right. And we retire by the tail. That's my biggest complaint about living in Nashville. I never considered leaving Nashville because I came here to retire until we have overdeveloped my community, until it's no fun to live there anymore.
My question is, my neighborhood is going to have a block party on June 10th. So my question is, what is the procedure to get my district police, I think the Southeast District, to hub around, not really just be there all the time, but to come like you do and stay a little while and leave and come back? Who do I call to get the police to come surveillance our block party?
So here's the thing.
You gotta get good food.
I was gonna go get you a muffin at some point.
No, I feel like I need like bacon, eggs. I'm sorry. I'm not complaining. It's good stuff. So with that being said, if you live in the southeast, may I ask specifically what's your neighborhood?
Antioch, Lakeside Cove.
Okay, yeah, that is out. So Sergeant Dennis Velvet, which is Miss Alma's community affairs coordinator, he would be your point of contact.
Well, I have his number.
I live in Alton, and I have his number.
So, and what I would say for this is, I hear what you're saying. I don't know what your block party looks like. I don't know if you're closing down the streets. I don't know if you're just keeping
No,
it.
we're not closing down.
So, I mean, if you want the police to be a part and just come out and just, if you want them, you tailor it how it looks to you, because again, I think when people in the community, again, I think, no offense, I feel like we have to get out of that mindset. When you all think of us, like you just said, be there but not be there.
Right.
Okay,
So
so to me, I'm like, okay, so you just basically want security. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Okay, which is fine, I mean, and they'll say police, so yeah.
Yes.
So what I think what I feel, this is just my humble opinion.
Okay.
I don't know what that block party looks like, but you could easily probably have, because I just wrote the name down, I don't even know. Look, my division and all of their divisions, we're down for just saying, what, invite us? You need a table? If we can't do it, Sergeant Reaver, can you do it? Okay, great. We can't, Louis, can you do it? We are all about going out, setting up tables, whatever, it's fun, and just come out. And the goal is not just that, it's just more so for us to be out to educate the community and for you all to get to know who we are. Because your neighbors, you know who we are. Your neighbors don't know who we are.
Okay.
We want to know who you are. And of course, I mean, if it's a food truck.
So I just need to call my sergeant
Yes,
and
ma'am.
ask him to set a table with us or whatever procedure.
Or whatever you want. Yes.
Do you know like the format of how you want, is it in the yard, kind of like a
It's
backyard?
basically in a common area, and I think think it's about 4 or 5 different tables set up, you know, for different things, different people, selling stuff,
So vendors?
Yeah, different vendors.
So you don't need actual you don't need a permit?
Well, I was thinking about that too.
Is it in a park?
No, it's not a
So
park,
if
it's
you're
just
closing down
a,
the street,
yeah,
like if
it's
it's
just
in your,
in a common area,
then
a
if it's in
big
your
common.
subdivision, if it's a subdivision, it's your subdivision, and
Right.
your neighbors have agreed upon, that's what you all are doing,
Right.
you're fine. But like, I'm going back to, Belmont, Hillsborough.
Okay.
That's a whole totally different thing because they are not a subdivision. They're an open neighborhood, they're an open community, which means they would need one because they can't just like say, hey, we're in agreement, we're gonna shut down our neighborhood for this block party for us. They can't do that, so they would need a permit. That's why I was asking, is it something that you feel like you probably need a permit for? But in that particular case, I don't think.
No, it's only 216 homes in my subdivision, and we're
Just
doing a
one.
common
Just
area. Yeah, 216 homes, and we're just doing a common area. So, like I said, it's gonna be just one big area with hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken.
Yeah, we like to definitely go.
Hermitage is close enough, we can drop in.
Well, I'll tell you now, it's June 10th, so, and it starts at 3 to 7. It's just our first time introducing ourselves to all of our neighbors. We got new board members, association members or whatever, and so I'm the councilwoman over it, so I wanted to get the police involved, and so I'm gonna ask for a table.
I mean, I don't know if you took a picture
Yes,
of my
I did.
location.
Yes.
You could email me, and, I mean, I was right there. Yeah, he's a good one too.
I'm very
Does the
excited.
vice mayor need to come?
We don't compete.
I mean, right, it's still campaigning, right?
Now, we don't have barbecue out, so we don't compete against each other. We don't
Oh,
have
when it's
barbecue.
yours, when it's yours, I'll come to you.
So we have 5 minutes left of the session, so if there are other questions or.
If we don't have any more questions, we have about 5 minutes left. We got one more question? Yes, ma'am.
Who we call, vicious dogs?
Ooh, animal control. They will be able to help you with that.
And you can find them on Hub.
Hub Nashville.
Hub Nashville. Hub Nashville is your.
And if you get a picture of the dog, that'll help them identify.
The number one person
I ain't say get close enough. Just zoom in. Yeah, I don't want you to get hurt. Just zoom in so that can let them know exactly which animal they're looking for.
Even videos too.
It has been a pleasure with you today in building community and getting to know your neighbors. And I'm excited about the representation in this room. We got people from all sides of town. We got Southeast, we got Bordeaux, we got Parkwood, Madison, West Side. Okay, I got you. Hermitage. Well, you guys have about 5 minutes before this session ends, so we'll give you a little break before next session. And it has been a pleasure. See y'all next time.
Yes, yes.